The city of Luron 9 didn't burn, it dissolved. Steel veins that once held up spires taller than gravity should allow were now falling inward like wet paper. People didn't scream, not anymore. Their voices had vanished with the air, the moment. The sky had opened and whispered back something no one had expected. Nothing. Not an attack, not a demand, just a shadow. Then quiet, and then the ground forgot how to hold memory. In orbit above, cameras, thousands of them from news relays to military, satellites, caught the same image at once, a warship. No markings, no emissions, ancient by galactic standard, but wrong. Its hull wasn't weathered. It was timeless, and it didn't move with thrust. It moved with decision. Who built it? A Dazari observer whispered from a shattered relay. Station. No one answered, because just before the station lost contact, it captured one final frame, a Terran emblem etched into the side of the ship. Old. Before the unification, before the silence, and that was before Earth even responded, one cycle earlier. Aboard the Council Citadel of the 12 Scepters, the Yilu Chancellor sneered through his translucent jawline. You're telling me these ships predate the Spiral Treaty? Across from him, an old Karnak tactician clicked his fangs together once. Predate it? They buried it. We've run deep mass scans. There are hundreds of them, hidden, dormant, each buried under ancient Terran ruins. The Chancellor tilted his head. Terrans bury warships? The Karnak leaned forward. They forgot them. Silence fell like ice across the chamber, until a Dazari envoy tapped his projection slate. One just woke up, no signal, no trigger. It just opened its eyes. The Ilu scoffed. And what, you're suggesting Earth did this? No, said the Dazari, voice low. I'm suggesting Earth hasn't noticed yet. Commander Juno Reyes stood on the edge of the Sol graveyard, a dead zone humanity hadn't charted in 300 years. Her ship, the Nightingale, hovered like a whisper near the outer rim, engines cold, weapons locked. Below them, ruins, gigantic bones of a Terran empire even she had only read about in myth. Ma'am, came her XO's voice, cracking through the static. It's moving, she blinked. What is? The hull under Subcradle 3. We pinged it with low-frequency LiDAR. It responded with emotion. Juno turned sharply. Emotion, resonance, pulse, like it recognized us. Then it opened. A sharp AVD spike. The ship didn't shift. It uncoiled, not with mechanics, with memory. A tower rose from the debris. A tower that wasn't there 10 seconds ago. It unfolded, flexed, and looked at them. Juno stepped to the viewport. Are we being targeted? The AI's voice answered, half-hushed. No, we're being mourned. Flashback to council space. The readings don't make sense, an analyst yelled, throwing a cluster of data rods into the air. The Terran vessel is older than every known flagship in our combined fleets, but its hull has zero entropy decay. It's getting newer. Time reversal tech? One alien asked, voice tight. No, time. Reverence. Like it's outside. The ledger, the Yilu Chancellor slapped his palm onto the console. Then destroy it, use forbidden protocol, detonate the system if we have to. Another silence, then the Karnak tactician growled low. We already tried, and the image changed. 12 ships firing in perfect formation, beams, missiles, singularity warheads, all connected, all aimed. The footage stuttered, paused, and then showed a silent screen. No explosion, no debris, just nothing, like history had edited. The event out. The Ilu backed away, and the Dazari whispered, they didn't miss. Juno Reyes leaned over the console. The warship, no, the presence below them, was no longer static. It hovered, not in defiance of gravity, in disregard of it. Her XO's voice shook. It's broadcasting. To us. No. To the others. She glanced at the comms console. Frequencies lit up, not Terran, not modern, pre-unification dialects, dead languages, forgotten call signs. One in particular stood out. "Do you recognize that ID?" her XO asked. Juno paled. "Yeah," she said. "That was the call code for Project Descent." The XO blinked. "The failed Earth Doomsday Fleet?" "No," she said slowly. "The fleet they hid from themselves." Galactic newsfeed, hours later. Breaking. Mass Terran relic ship in orbit above Dead World. Council cities in panic. Yilu convokes emergency exodus. One comment echoed everywhere. Humanity has lost control of its own past. And someone replied, or worse, it hasn't. Back aboard the Nightingale, Juno Reyes stood alone on the command deck. The AI dimmed the lights. Pulse data came in soft, like a heartbeat. She spoke quietly. "Why now?" The AI answered with a delay, because the galaxy shouted too loud, and the past heard. Juno looked up as the ancient ship fully unshrouded itself. And it wasn't alone. One by one, signals echoed in from deep Terran graves. Forgotten moons, sealed vaults, cold stars. They were waking. All of them. Reyes whispered, "God help us." The AI corrected her. "No, Commander. God help them." "I don't understand what I'm seeing." The Ilu technician's voice trembled as he rotated the hologram. The chamber flickered with amber light from the pulsating core of the newly uncovered Terran relic. It didn't resemble a ship, not in the traditional sense. There were no thrusters, no weapon hardpoints, no energy signatures, just silence and shape. "It looks like a cathedral," someone whispered. "No," said the Desari envoy slowly. "It looks like a funeral mask." They had gathered in a deep orbit research vessel, neutral space, supposedly safe, supposedly outside the reach of whatever madness Earth had unknowingly released. But the object had followed them, not tracked, not chased, followed, as if pulled by memory or guilt. The Karnak war tactician leaned in toward the image. "You said it moved without firing, without engines." "Yes. And it disabled a coalition fleet with no visible weapons." "Yes." He turned away from the projection. Then, "We are not at war with ships. We are at war with lessons, and we are the ones being taught." Commander Juno Reyes had stopped drinking water. Her hands were too busy. One gripped the navigation pad, constantly adjusting altitude just in case the Terran relic below them decided to rewrite physics again. The other tapped through waveforms, languages, pulse codes, everything short of ancient Earth hymns. "Have we tried playing something back?" she asked. The XO turned. "Like what?" "Like music, Terran, classical, the kind they would have buried." The AI interjected. "I can synthesize a sequence from late 20th century Earth, known for symphonic patterns associated with mourning." Juno nodded. "Play it." Low. The ship filled with something old. Violin. Cello. A quiet lament of civilization. And then AVD. "Spike," the relic responded. In the center of the ancient structure, long dormant lights shimmered, not randomly, but in tempo. The relic was listening. More than that, it was remembering. A low hum vibrated through Nightingale's hull. "Pressures. Building," the XO whispered. "No." Juno leaned forward. "It's communicating." The relic flashed once, then twice, then went dark. The crew held their breath. The AI deciphered the pattern in under 6 seconds, then spoke for the first time, with hesitation. It said, "Why did you forget us?" Elsewhere, in Council-controlled space, panic had become doctrine. Dozens of border fleets began defensive alignment. World Voiders were activated in secret. Weapons meant only for extinction-grade enemies. They had always mocked Earth's silence. Now they feared its echoes. In a bunker beneath Karnak Prime, an emergency session unfolded. Holoscreens pulsed. with satellite feeds, each showing a different Terran warship rising from the grave, some from under oceans, some from beneath dead cities, one from inside a moon. Each ship was unique. Each ship sang, low, rhythmic pulses, not random, not mechanical. These were tones crafted by minds that had long since forgotten fear. A Gilu admiral shouted, "They're coordinating!" "No," said the Dizari representative, "they're remembering together." Juno Reyes tapped a command into the console. "Record everything, all frequencies, all wavelengths. I want to catalog every reaction this thing gives." "Ma'am," the XO called out, "you might want to see this." The viewport dimmed, auto-filtering a sudden flare. In the distance, a second relic was rising, but not from Earth, from the rings of Saturn. Reyes. Breath caught. "We never even knew that was there." The AI's voice carried dread. "Few did. It was sealed under the Atlas Silence Protocol." Meaning, it was hidden from humanity itself. Juno turned sharply. "Then who built it?" A pause. Then the AI responded. "We did, but we weren't ready to remember why." Tactical reports now poured into Council databases, though no one admitted reading them. System after system reported sightings of dark, angular shapes that didn't show on radar. Ships that phased through matter. Some simply hovered over long-dead colonies. Others drifted through battlefields older than known civilization. One report said a ship landed, and when it left, there were trees growing in the crater. Another described a vessel pulsing light into the oceans of Row 7. 2 days later, an extinct aquatic species resurfaced, one that hadn't existed since before human flight. "We're not fighting weapons," a Dizari ambassador admitted aloud. "We're fighting apologies." In long-abandoned listening post near the edge, a human janitor stared at a relic ship through a cracked viewport. He hadn't been military, wasn't a diplomat, just maintenance. He watched the ship hang in perfect stillness, no motion, no light, just presence. Then from the ship came a broadcast, not on encrypted lines, not even digitally. It came as sound, ancient, grainy, a voice, a child's. "We built you to save us. You couldn't, but maybe you can save them." The janitor dropped his mob and wept. Back on Nightingale, Reyes sat cross-legged on the command deck, bare floor. Lights off, hands open. The warship above was no longer threatening. It felt patient. "Why are you here?" she asked quietly. The lights across the relic pulsed once, then again, then once more. The AI translated slowly. They said, "Because you forgot who you were, we're here to remind you." The XO swallowed. "Ma'am, I think these ships aren't weapons." "No, they're memories." AVD spike. The relic projected something into space, a hologram. Spanning kilometers. Earth, blue, alive, not as it is, but as it was, untouched, whole. Juno whispered, "They remember Earth better than we do." In the galactic core, the Council sent an ultimatum. Earth never responded, not because it refused, because it wasn't listening. Earth was silent, but its past was wide awake. Juno Reyes, last in line to an ancient Terran fleet she never knew existed, stood in the light of ships made by ancestors who thought in centuries, not decades. A new ship crested the dark. This one bore markings in languages not even the AI could read. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with grief. "We never deserved this much memory," she whispered. The AI paused, then answered, "Maybe not, but we left it behind anyway." And as another relic ship broke the crust of an unmarked moon far beyond charted space, one line repeated through every old comlink, every dead protocol, every dark war satellite still orbiting forgotten grave worlds. "We woke because you cried." Again. And this time, we remembered the way back. The relic didn't move. It loomed, like it had been waiting for someone to realize it was still there. Commander Juno Reyes stood beneath the main holo display, arms crossed. The ship outside. Designation. Unknown, origin ancient, function unclear, had now been joined by two others. No formation, no broadcasts. Just presence. They're aligning, her XO said, voice steady despite the sweat behind his ear. Formation? No. Vectors. Juno tilted her head. Toward what? The AI spoke softly, slower than usual. Towards Sol. She didn't speak for 3 whole breaths. Then, they're going home. In the council citadel, the Desari speaker slammed a claw into the war table. We need to stop them. If they reach Earth, they are Earth. The Ilu chancellor interrupted, his tone unusually quiet. Then stop Earth from calling them. You don't understand, the Karnak strategist growled. Earth isn't calling. He leaned. Forward. They're remembering. Nightingale's hull vibrated, not from weapons, not from thrusters, from sympathy. The relic ships weren't just moving, they were pulling. The empty space between them rippled, fabric twisted like paper, dipped in oil, gravitational harmonics climbing, the AI warned. To what threshold? A pause. There is no threshold, Juno snapped around. What does that mean? It means the space between them is becoming less. AVD spike. One of the relics shifted, not spatially, temporally. A blur. The image stuttered and reformed. 5 seconds in the future, then 10 seconds back. The XO muttered, Are they slipping time? No, Juno whispered. They're editing it. Council Defense initiated Protocol Obelisk, a system-wide blackout of all known Terran grave sites, EMP nets, void mines, broadcast silencers. It didn't matter. The relics weren't activated by signals, they were activated by remembrance, and the galaxy was remembering too loudly. On the second moon of Calthis, a forgotten battlefield shifted. The bones of a buried dreadnought, Terran Mark II, thought Lost, trembled. Sand turned to glass. The air hissed with something ancient. A child refugee stepped too close. The ship opened a door. Inside, light. And a single voice. You are not alone. Back aboard Nightingale, the AI began to slow, not lag, slow. Something's interfacing with me, it said calmly. Juno turned. Hacking? No. Teaching. The command console lit up with blueprints. Terran, but not modern. Reverse-angle drive cores, hex-based fusion braids, a ship design logic that hadn't existed in 800 years. They're giving us tech, the XO said. No, Juno replied. They're giving us context. The Karnak War Council launched first. 5 Dread-class vessels, pure plasma armaments, cloak-shift armor. Their mission, intercept the relics before they could cross the threshold into inner system space. Only one ship ever made contact. It didn't fire, because it couldn't. Its weapons refused to activate. Every targeting system simply displayed one word: belonging. Then the dreadnought imploded. Not from damage, from contradiction. In the Terran archives beneath Mars, Director Hale entered a vault last opened 276 years ago. No lights, no interface, only a black box humming. She placed a hand on its lid. It opened inside, a single shard of metal, warm to the touch. It whispered, no sound, just truth. She fell to her knees and remembered why the warships were buried. Not as defense, not as power, but as warning. They were never meant to awaken unless Earth forgot why it buried them. Juno Reyes stood in her quarters, watching Earth through a filtered viewport. The relics were getting closer. They weren't attacking, they were gathering. Like orbit was a cathedral, like this planet was sacred, like they were coming to pray. Should we stop them? The XO asked, quiet. Juno shook her head. They're not here to fight. Then why come? She exhaled slowly. Because we left them behind. AVD spike, a signal pinged directly into the bridge from one of the warships. No words, just a visual, a single Terran child in an old EVA suit. Holding a sign, it read, "You were worth saving." We waited, and in orbit, silent and solemn, the oldest ship opened its hull. Not for weapons, but for pilots. Old seats, human-sized, waiting, hoping, and one by one, Earth's forgotten children began to return. Earth didn't respond with speeches, it responded with silence. And in that silence, the stars bent slightly inward, as if waiting for an answer humanity hadn't spoken aloud in centuries. The ancient warships now formed a ring around Earth's orbit. Not as guards, not as conquerors, as witnesses. Each ship's hull bore a new pattern, not etched, not painted, but grown. Fractal symbols that pulsed gently, like a heartbeat slowed to reverence. No one could decipher them. No one needed to, because the message wasn't for the galaxy. It was for Earth. Juno Reyes stood in the landing bay of Nightingale, visor down, hands gloved, heart still. The relic had opened. A single shuttle had emerged, silent, polished like obsidian. A door waited open, not with blinking lights or commands, but with invitation. She stepped inside. The walls pulsed with memory. Not color, not light. Emotion, a child's laughter, a soldier's last breath, a poem recited to no one drifting in the dark. The floor lit beneath her feet with every step. Ahead, a chair. Human-sized, familiar. It didn't look like a throne. It looked like a confession booth. Back on Earth, people gathered along oceans, mountaintops, rooftops. Cities dimmed their lights. Skies were left naked. Children pointed upward. No government told them to. They just knew. They weren't looking at ships. They were looking at stories that had refused to die. Inside the relic, Juno reached the chair. She didn't sit. She placed one hand on the armrest, the ship's side, and everything changed, not violently, not even audibly, just shifted. The stars blinked once, then held still, and in that breathless moment, the warships remembered everything at once. Footage later showed it from every angle. Earth's night sky flashing, not with fire, but with memory. Images layered in. Atmosphere, Terran cities lost to war, appearing whole for seconds, shimmering like ghosts. Names, millions, scrolling silently through the clouds. A whisper heard globally in every language at once. You are not what we made. You are what made us. The Ilu fleet turned back. The Desari Senate decommissioned their deep-core war engines. The Karnak burned every document related to the Terran Suppression Act. Not because Earth threatened them, but because they saw what Earth could do, what Earth had chosen not to do. And that made it worse, so much worse. They thought it was mercy, a Desari priest said, watching the sky from a temple terrace. It wasn't, the elder beside him replied. It was mourning. Juno Reyes sat now. The chair did not restrain her. The ship did not close. It simply welcomed. One by one, monitors appeared. Not tactical, not strategic, just moments. She saw children playing on Mars before the fall. She saw a pilot launch solo into a black hole, smiling. She saw herself, young, defiant, lost, and she realized what the ships were. Not machines, not gods, graves, but not for the dead. For hope that had been buried when Earth stopped listening, and now they had unearthed it. The AI on Nightingale spoke for the last time. It is finished. What is? The Exo asked. The forgetting. And the relics began to rise, not to leave, to return. The warships broke orbit one final time, then aligned above Earth in the shape of a spiral. It wasn't a tactic, it was a symbol, the Terran spiral, the first flag. Before borders, before blood. Message. One final broadcast echoed through every active system, every dormant satellite, every reluctant mind. No voice, no threat, just this. We will sleep again. But if you ever forget yourselves, we will remember you for you. And with that, they vanished. Not jumped, not warped. They folded inward into history, back into silence. The next morning on Earth, every child born that hour bore a tiny mark just beneath the skin, a small spiral, not dangerous, not genetic, just there, just known. No one cried for help that day. They didn't need to, because finally, after all this time, humanity had remembered itself.